Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to day one of the Revive and Reboot event. This is going to be a fun little gathering and get together to get all of us back on track after the hellish year and a half that we've all had. I have special guest Kristina Russell, who has become a dear friend, and we've never met in person. I love our distant Zoom relationship. If we were looking to date, we would be a couple by now, because we've been live so many times. So it is morning for her, and she looks gorgeous, and it is evening for me. I had to put my bright light on because it's so dark out here, and she's just starting her day. So how amazing that we can do these little chats and get together when it's the next day for her already, so she can look into our future and tell us what's going to happen. So thank you, Kristina, for always being up for joining me. My people that follow me on my coffee chats, and especially my Hair Color Secrets Insider members, absolutely love you. When we did the pop-up together, I got so many great comments back and kudos, and everyone loves you. So I'm so happy that you're always up for jumping in and re-inspiring everyone from across the globe.
Thank you so much. I always love talking with you and with your community, and I jump into your group sometimes on Facebook when I have the time, and anyone that I've met through your community that have come to my education or through these types of events are just such wonderful, enthusiastic students and members of our hairdressing industry that it's a really wonderful part to be able to connect with you. And I do love if we're dating long distance in a colourful world, and we just haven't been able to get into the same room. But that is something I guess we can touch on in our conversation as well, with technology, how it does make this type of event still feel connected, even though we're in polar opposite parts of the world. And it is morning here. I am also cheating. I do have a brighter ring above me to try and hide my lockdown locks, because in Sydney we're currently not able to be working in salons. So it's a perfect opportunity for me to be talking with you, and I'm so excited to hear what's going on in your world and chat with you about what's happening here as well.
So we are not as locked down now, thank God. I feel bad. You and I just chatted before we went live, and you shared with me that you can't even go to the gym for more than an hour. Like, you're really on strict lockdown, and this is not the first time. So I think you in Australia have suffered through more than we have in the US as far as the amount of times that you've been told that you cannot work.
Yeah, I think it's been quite different. And I must admit, I am looking jealously at friends currently in New York and other parts of America. I know that some parts it's very different, and it can change from day to day or week to week depending on what's happening with COVID outbreaks. Australia seemed to be going much better last year. In comparison, we seem to act fast, and it seemed to be, I wouldn't say a novelty, because it was certainly very stressful, and just working all your life or all your career, or for maybe it's a new career, but you really invested in it and you've dived in, and to have something through no fault of anyone just gets pulled away from you, made people react in various emotional ways. Some looked angry, some looked really sad, and I think it all comes from fear. And it seemed that we recovered, and then Delta hit, and it's been so contagious that I haven't been at work now. I think we're in the third month. It got a bit strange, and then we were at work one day and just was shut down. You've got to go home. And to be totally transparent, I feel much safer. And it was a bit of a relief when they extended to not week by week decisions. So currently Australia is struggling. The rollout of the vaccine is very slow. Some people are saying that it's been quite badly managed, and our pathway out is through vaccines and through extended lockdowns at the moment. So I'm hoping to get back to the salon probably mid-October or later. So for now, I I'm really grateful that I've got online education. I have a podcast. I have colorful friends all over the world that sometimes I just go and sit on my balcony in the sun and just talk on the phone. And I'm just there's that heaviness that's going on in the world. And some days I want to really absorb in it and watch the news. And others, I just give myself permission to just be in my own world and do what makes me happy. And I really think that as hairdressers, we're so used to serving other people, caring for them, listening to them, pleasing them, trying to please them, that I'm really into the idea of giving ourselves permission to work out what works for us, to care for ourselves, and to do some education that's fun and gets you a bit more excited. So whilst I'd love to be on a dance floor in New York, maybe not this year. No travel for me.
Well, and to your point, it really made us appreciate what we took for granted.
Absolutely.
It's all those things that were always just part of life. And it was like, I don't feel like going out and dancing tonight, or I'll go next week or whatever. And now you're like, okay, somebody invite me somewhere. I want to do something. I'm going crazy. So I think with our careers and our salon routines, I think a lot of it was a gift because we see things differently than we did before. Like I've watched you grow your online course and, going through all the learning curve of all that's involved in that and doing the web. I saw, you did a training and it wasn't working and then you had to put the recording up, and that's all the things that I go through. So I can totally relate. I'm like, but you keep your cool and you keep right on going. And the time off for me has been such a creative time. Like I have a list. I have one of those big flip chart, big sticky note charts. And my family calls it the Beautiful Mind board, because that movie, The Beautiful Mind, where he's crazy. And
yes.
That's like my brain dump board, because I'm like, okay, what's next? Like I have all this time. I need to know what's next. So I just today sketched out a whole plan for something that's I don't think has ever been done before education wise. It's totally virtual. It's going to be intimate. I'm only going to sell 20 spots for it. So I'm able to look at things differently, because at first, I think in the beginning of COVID, I think people thought, well, virtual education, I guess it's better than nothing. I'm starting to find I like it better, because it's so intimate. Like right now, I know that Lori's here and she's saying, I need to hear this. I'm feeling under the weather, fever and head congestion. Might have to take off tomorrow. I know that about Lori. When I teach on a stage, I don't even know Lori's in the room. I'm up there. I have a big bright light in my face. I have my little Britney Spears microphone. I don't get to meet or know anyone. So when you and I teach like this and we can see the comments and they can ask us questions live, there's this feeling, like I said, I feel like I know you really well and we've never ever met. And when you think about what really is the difference, if you and I were at a cafe having the same conversation, it's all about connection and conversation and energy that you bring to anything, whether it's virtual or in person. So I'm guessing, I've heard through the grapevine that the in-person things are not really, people are not really engaging yet. They're kind of still like, I'm not sure I want to do that. And I think the future is either going to be a hybrid model, which has been done recently. Some of the companies have done, yes, you can go in person, or if you're not comfortable, you can do virtual. And I think that's my next step, is to start doing some hybrid, because I do want to be near people and do the in-person thing. But I think the hybrid is the best of both worlds, because if you go in person, sometimes you're so engaged in the moment that, did you ever walk out of a training and you loved it, but you can't remember a single thing that you learned? You're like excited, you're like, oh my God, that was so great. And then someone says, well, what did you learn? You're like, she did this thing. Let me look at my notes, where if it's hybrid and you have that recording, you can go back and watch the recording. So that's what I love, that you and I are both in this world and we're offering that to people, because it's something that has been needed for a long time. And Kristina, if for those of you who haven't met me or Kristina, I'm Elaine Travis. I am in Florida. Kristina is in Australia. We're both independent color educators. We teach all about color, and she is the queen of red. She is so much braver than me with her redheads. And the way that she teaches redheads some of the things that she has said just in our conversations are, for me, the best class I've ever had. And I didn't think I was even in class. I thought we were having a conversation. But the way that she looks at things a certain way, her and I did a pop-up together. It was a free Fearless Formulation pop-up. And I had Kristina and Justina and Julie Klein and myself. And we each brought something different to the event in how we do things. Like, I always talk about how I'm not a fan of the base break for blonding. Kristina loves the base break for redheads. I love it for redheads too, but I don't love it for blonding. So just utilizing different tools and techniques, not because she's in Australia and I'm in Florida, but because she has made the decision, like, she loves reds and she decided to specialize in reds and blondes, and that has helped her to stand out. So Kristina, for someone watching that's in a super funk, down in the dumps, I don't even know if I want to do hair anymore. These are the comments I'm seeing around the internet, and I don't blame people. It's a stressful time. But what would you say to someone who's in that funk to kind of pull them out of it and give them something exciting to look forward to?
I think that's a really great question. And I think that it's totally okay to feel overwhelmed and not sure if you're wanting to be doing things the same way that you're doing them. So perhaps it could be a time to invest in either a coach, or it's totally okay to also seek a counselor or somebody that is outside of the industry, a mentor who could help you unpack what some of the steps are to take if you are wanting to make a change. But I think sometimes it could be the location. Perhaps you've been working in a salon suite and you want to go back to working in a commission salon, or maybe you've been working in a commission salon and you want to start being a freelancer, or you're wanting to invest in a salon and you've got all the plans ready, but now you're quite scared because it's an unpredictable time, but it's also a time of incredible change, and people who are being brave within their means, I think, are getting a lot of incredible support out there. And there are so many people in Instagram, in Facebook, that are sharing free education. So there's a combination of free support, free supportive communities, as well as you could use those to sample and see if you can find the coach or find your tribe that can help you stay connected and energized, but be wary of some of the groups that really might be overwhelming you more. It's okay to pull back and look at who you're surrounding yourself with, both in real life and in the social media world. And I think to find energy, I've always been really passionate about attending events, both in person and now online. I love the idea of hybrid. The only real hair show I got to do this year actually was for a smart technology company here in Australia that had this smart mirror, and we got to have the mirrors in the room. We had 30 people attend. It was in an art gallery, and they live streamed it. So we had people asking us questions, and I was there pretending to paint hair and smiling and, doing my angles. I still got to engage with actual people. We got to have drinks and meet people afterwards, answer questions, but also we had people in a virtual world. And it was just something that I thought that was quite exciting. Now, I could share many years ago, I wasn't sure myself if hairdressing was right for me. I didn't know whether I wanted to stay in the industry. I actually was working in a really supportive salon at the time. I'd had good training. I had attended probably every course I could have, from all the brand ones. I went to the trade shows. I always had models for my training after hours. I'd walk the streets if I didn't have one and say, "Hi, you've got great hair, but it could be greater if I put some foils in it for $20 and you've got 4 hours. Come with me. I was so
I used to do the same thing. I would abduct people from Starbucks. Come with me.
Abduct them. And for barbering, I'd be like, where do I find men with shorter hair? Oh, I'll go to the poker room, in the nearby bar if I was desperate. It was before social media. So I'd really put everything into it, but still I wasn't completely happy. And I didn't know whether it was because I had always done it. I'd left school early. I hadn't gone to university. I'd gone straight into an apprenticeship. So I really thought about what I wanted to do. I'd always wanted to go to art school. I'd always wanted to study fashion. I was always interested in it. I made my doll's clothes on a sewing machine for kids from a really early age. I loved screen printing, painting. I was always into crafts. So I went to the salon owner that I was working with at the time and said, I don't know what I want to do with this, but I really want to try to get into art school. Could I still work here half my current roster? Could I do part-time? I'm still really committed. And they said yes. And I don't know that that's the right answer for everyone, but I went off and I had to try out. It was like I had to do sketches. They weren't that good. But I think I looked enthusiastic and I got in and I studied for 3 years. I did screen printing. I did textile design. I learned how to do mood boards, collections, something that then excited my inner artist. And I did color theory. So learning how to paint red up to white and black up to white and all the different groupings with paint on paper, which was quite tedious, I must admit. It was difficult. It was as hard as doing that first few foils that you do when you're learning. But it meant that I got this new language around colour. And I use that in my education as well. So that's what's helped me be brand free. But at the time, I then thought, do I really want to be a textile designer? Because I had the qualifications to do it. And I thought, I don't really want to be making T-shirts in a garage studio. I don't want to go over to Europe where the textile mills are. I actually really love hairdressing. I just didn't love how I was working in it. I needed to do something still for me. So from time to time, I do, even just at the local community adult college, painting or gouache or chalk pastel classes. And that's important to me. It's not hair related, but it helps me as a hairdresser. So I think if you're creative, like, get outside the industry sometimes to see what it can bring back in, and it can really be helpful. I hope that I'm still here now, like, more than 20 years later. I love our industry, but I have worked all over the world. I've worked in commission salons as a freelancer, as a rent-a-chair. I've taught on stage in front of up to 10,000 people in Las Vegas. I've worked on photo shoots where they didn't know until I got there that I didn't know how to style hair or do a wig wrap. And I was like, no, I'll get the coffees today, but I'll pass up pins. And I was really into it. So I've put myself out there. I keep asking or letting people know, I'd love to help you with that if it's something that excites you. I think you've got to put yourself out there within a comfortable boundary, but also get outside of the industry, because it might be something else, that you need creatively. It could be doing a dance class. It could be learning how to do hip hop. It could be going to the gym twice a week. Whatever it is, I think that looking at outside of just hairdressing, because it has been really challenging. Have you found yourself sometimes, Elaine, having days where you just don't have the motivation, particularly, in the last 18 months? It's been challenging, right?
It has, but because I already made a pivot before this all happened, it actually was good for me because I needed to force myself to stay home and do things. Yeah. I wasn't in the salon, but for me now, I'm getting the itch to get my hands back in hair. I just did 2 models this past week. So that was fun and different for me, where it's usually the other way around. And something, I'm glad you brought up photography, because I get so annoyed with myself. I'll do these extreme makeovers from Fried and Frazzled to, J-Lo Fabulous. And my pictures do not convey how good it looks in person. So today I spent the day going down the rabbit hole of who will teach me how to use a DSLR camera. I do not know how to use a camera. I only know how to use my phone, and not well, by the way. And there's definitely an art to it. I've had my own hair, my picture taken with fresh color, where I see it on social media. I'm like, I cannot believe that's my head. And it doesn't look like my head in person, but it looks absolutely amazing on camera. And, you don't want, it's not like you want it to be a false representation of what it is, but you want it to look its best. And I don't use editing apps. I don't know what I'm doing with any of that. So it's what you see is what you get. And I'll literally spend, when I first moved here, I was spending 4 and 5 hours on these makeovers, and I was sharing a suite with another person. And so I didn't get to pick the decor. And she had like Pepto-Bismol pink walls. And you could not get a picture to save your life in that room with those pink walls. And then I would take them out in the hallway, and then it was fluorescent lighting. And then I would take them outside, and it was direct sunlight. So my daughter would be here, and I would make the model come back 2 days later to my house when the sun was going down, when it was the perfect lighting situation, and my daughter would take a better picture and save me from doing all that work for nothing. So taking a course, I'm going to be taking my first tap dance lesson on Tuesday evening next week. I finally found a place. I've been wanting to do that. When I was little, I had curly hair and everybody called me Shirley Temple, and I was obsessed with tap dancing, but never took lessons. And I hate to exercise. So I'm like, I have to move my body anyway. I love to dance. There's nowhere, to your point, to go dance right now. So my little community center has a Tuesday morning tap dance class. So that's going to be on Tuesday. So photography, tap dancing. I go to things where they'll have like a card reader there, and coffee and card readings, stuff like that, just to switch it up and have something to talk about other than hair. My kids tease me. They're like, you need a hobby. All you do is talk about, or teach hair. You need other things, but it re-energizes you. And even trying a new tool. It sounds crazy. One of the prizes for tonight is this set that makes me so happy. It's a Product Club 25th anniversary, and it's rose gold. And it's just, little clips, a tail comb, a tint brush, and a couple foils. But doing color and looking at my rose gold brush, when you've been using a black brush for 10 years and looking at the same bristles all the time, and it's just, in your hand, getting a new bowl, a beautiful bowl, getting a new brush. I love, shameless plug for you, your glitter board. I never highlighted with a board before. And Kristina sent me one of her glitter boards. She's like, what's your favorite color? I said, I don't know, pink or blue. So she sent me both. And I was teaching a class recently, and I didn't get a chance to tell you this. I was teaching a class for one of our new hires, and she's very timid with foiling. She's not proficient or confident. And I noticed that it was the support that she needed underneath. And I'm like, okay, this is why people use boards. And I happened to have it with me. So I pulled it out and I said, do me a favor, try this board. This may be the difference. And now she is, confidently putting that in there. She has that support. So do you have any that you can show? Do you have any nearby?
Yeah, I do.
It comes in all different colors, and they're fun colors, and it's very glittery. So I'm a glitter girl. I'm an 80s glitter girl.
These are the two most popular ones. Pink. Who doesn't like pink? Well, most people do, but I've got other gorgeous. I've got 10 colors. So they would be, I think I'm doing opposites.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'll go in the middle like that. So they're these gorgeous glitter boards. And what I found was a friend of mine in Sydney makes jewelry, and she had all of these in her studio. And I started looking at them, and I thought, hairdressers I've seen use takeaway containers. Maybe it had last night's dinner pad thai, or, a laksa lid, or whatever it is. And I've seen other hairdressers with like the back of a clipboard with duct tape around it. And it just doesn't look beautiful, but it also doesn't look hygienic, I don't think. And I think something that I've really experienced in the last year and a half, that we probably are all doing if you're working in the salon, is a lot more cleaning. So these clean easily just in water. They also don't stain. My first prototype, I get them made in Australia. My first prototype, they were all sharp edged, so just straight edges. But what I've done based on feedback, because I too don't use them for putting foil over, I actually use them for balayaging. I find balayage freehand low lighting, and I do a lot of reds. So I'm often painting through the mid-lengths and ends with quite runny, perhaps like Shades EQ or a direct dye that's like a liquidy gel. And if you saw the floor, you would know where I worked in the salon, because it's like spray marks. But I find these are really good to paint on, pull out, pop on my trolley, and my hands don't get really bright color on them. And then I don't grab my next section and put a handprint on. But what I found was from people that do wrap foils on them, they needed this edge to be softer. So one end is designed to go against the head and it doesn't have the sharp edge. It's not sharp like it would cut you. It's just softer so you can wrap foil as tightly as you want around there and it doesn't rip. So I got feedback from my first prototype. So these are gorgeous and they've got the curve on the end. And I mean, this is a YS Park clip I love. So a lot of my clips are pink. I've just been sent some tools actually from a Melbourne hairdresser, these beautiful carbon combs and clips that you would use for bridal or long hair. They're these really long, like classic silver clips with the grip is incredible. So I agree. I think having a larger kit, which means on a busy day, you can put them aside. You can clean them at the end of the day. Some people are probably thinking, oh, she's one of those. Yes, I am. I have a lot of equipment because some days I just can't keep rinsing in between, but all of the combs are getting sterilized. You know, they get cleaned a lot more. So I love these. I think they're really pretty, but they're really good for foiling. And I did just reveal a secret to Elaine that, you know, I'm not very good with secrets. I am a hairdresser. I do like to share secrets before you meant to, but I am exploring getting a larger one that's this really cool pattern, like a pastel and a bright color for those of you that like those wider foils because they're just so incredibly fast. I love them. I've got these foils in the salon that are like the shape of a pillowcase. They're that big. And I was taught when I was a junior colorist, hairdressers that use large sections and large foils are lazy and you get loads of drag and it's not necessarily designed to do a classic creamy platinum all the way to the roots type technique. So I think sometimes in hairdressing, we're so limited by what somebody above us or one of our original trainers has said. Relook at those things. Why are there these large foils? They can actually be really fast. You don't have to, you know, fold them up as much. They're great for teasy lights or foliage or low lights or just clip it, you know, getting rid of the need for having clips and all sorts of things. So I'm going to bring out a larger one soon. I just got the quote in my inbox this morning and it's all looking good. So hopefully for our revival event, I'll have that. But if not, I'll share it with the group when they come in. So I do ship them all over the world, but they are, made and designed here in Australia.
Awesome. I have a tip for you too with painting those redheads. I just did the model the other day and I wanted to do freehand painting. And the same reason I was at a friend's salon, I'm like, I am not getting this all over his floor. I just added in the kaolin clay into the shades EQ and paint it with my paintbrush.
Oh.
So try that. It was so fun. I had just big ropey pieces. It's just called kaolin clay. You're an artist. It's artist clay. You can go to an art supply. So add that right in, just like a tablespoon of the kaolin clay, and it turns it into more of a clay-based product, and then you can just paint away. So we had fun with that.
Wow, I'm learning that. I used to do, that's such a great tip. I hope I can read my notes later. Sorry to rudely be, I'm not texting anyone in our talk. I'm just writing down my notes.
Taking notes.
Taking notes. So I'm learning as well. I have used corn flour in high lift tinting when I do high lift tint.
I do the
really
same
fine
thing.
foils. And sometimes people think, what are you doing? That's meant for gravy. And you think, well, it works. And it doesn't stop.
It doesn't affect the color. It doesn't, it just thickens everything up. I learned that when I was an apprentice. At my very first job, I remember we had to mix her colors and she had us put a heaping tablespoon of cornstarch into her color. And I was like, what the heck? I thought it was some special powder. And then I saw the box, you know, we had to go to the store and get it. And I was like, oh, wow, that's clever. And again, I teach that all the time. I'm like, don't worry about sliding foils. And, you know, we're so used to that lightener consistency that when we use color to highlight, it's a landslide. So one big heaping tablespoon of that cornstarch and it's magic. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. There's another pro tip for you. Something you can get from a supermarket or from your pantry. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as, I mean, you've worn many hats. Like you said, you've been on stage for thousands of people. You were in big salons, you're in small salons. Share with people, there's, like you said in the beginning, there's so much fear around what has been going on the last year and a half that people feel just stuck and paralyzed. Where for me, I'm such a, like, I love change. It drives people crazy because I can't stand when things are mundane and boring. So for me, I'm like, what a better time to take a leap. There's no judgment. I had a friend say to me, I totally took advantage of this opportunity to close my business. This person said, I had been so unhappy for so long, but I felt like I was a quitter if I gave up in any other circumstance. I just felt like a quitter. And this was like, here's your excuse. You know what I mean? How can you possibly survive with a bigger salon and all that overhead? It was like, okay, I can respectfully decline to keep going in this direction. And they are so much happier getting out from under all of that pressure and stress. And, we talked about inspiration, and it comes in all different forms. When I was an owner and, one of the most booked colorists in the salon, my daughter now owns the salon, and she says, Mom, how in the world did you do what you did? She's running and owning the salon only. She's not a hairdresser. And she knows how much work it is. She's like, how in the world did you have us kids, dad, food shopping, cooking, cleaning, all that stuff, and the salon and the clients and the damn salespeople that come in and interrupt in the middle of the day. Yes. And I went from that to like, every day I wake up and I'm like, all right, I need to start a project today. I need to be busy, because when you're flat out for 32 straight years, you don't know what slowdown is. So I think a lot of what's going on is people are like, I've never had to be this slow. They've never had to pause so much, but it's a gift from the universe. We need to pause. We need to reflect, and we need to, be in community in a different way. How many times have you found yourself working that 10-hour day and you don't have time to text a friend or have a cup of coffee with a friend or just listen intently to a conversation with a friend because your head is spinning of all the things that you didn't get done that day?
Yeah, I think that's a really incredible point of view and an insight, that it is okay. There may have been something as big as opening a salon or wanting to close a salon, that now it's okay. Just like maybe you've been invited to a christening or a baby shower and you want an excuse to not go, you can, for a little while you could say, oh, I've got a sore throat, and people are like, oh, with COVID. But in the bigger picture with career stuff, I felt quite similar. I used to work with Redken as a performing artist. So I would do all of their brand launches. I would travel to America 4 or 5 times a year. And from Sydney to New York, that's 2 flights, counting the taxi time, the time waiting in the lines at the airport. I used to count it, and when it went past 20 hours and I'd be in a cab like this with my head going like that, going from the airport, I'd think, don't count it. But it was so interesting. It was almost a 24-hour complete journey.
Absolutely.
And it was a privilege, and it was incredible to be there. But there were times when I thought, I can't go there for a 3-day planning meeting to only go back again in 2 months' time. They're also not going to get the best out of me. Is it okay that I start saying, I'm going to video call in? I'll still work with my team, but I'm on the opposite part of the world, opposite time zone. So I kind of had to start reworking things. I didn't go to planning meetings, but I did go to the events. And I would say, look, my team can only get through a certain amount of work. Anything they haven't done, I will then be fresh-eyed, and it's morning. I will finish it, and they know when they wake up the next day, all of that is done. So that's just one example. I've also spoken to a lot of hairdressers with my podcast, Colour Kristina Talks, and I was so interested in what was happening in the UK. They've had some of the most bleak and hardest lockdowns, and out of those lockdowns has come this new generation of educators, but not necessarily of the younger new generation of hairdressers. These are people that have wanted to get into teaching and have never had I don't know if it's the courage or they're forced to do it, or it's a bit of both. But I spoke to this incredible person, Belinda Hillman, and she came up with these mindset training cards for apprentices and people that are new in the salon. She's so in.
That's one of our prizes tonight. My hairstylist inspiration, not that deck, but a deck. I love the idea of a deck.
I love it. And then also, you've got your book that's available in a digital format. I think motivational cards. I've also found other UK hairdressers like Vivian Johns and Jason Crozier, session stylists, who are dabbling in making curation packs. So there's also, if maybe you love social media, but you're not loving the hair side of things, is there an opportunity to still work in the industry, but maybe you start helping other hairdressers with their social media? Or are you someone, that needs help and then you need to find that person? I think if we're needing education, there is probably people out there that would be love to be teaching it. And now is an okay time to be exploring that. But to have the excuse or to have the reason and the permission to yourself to close a salon, I left a really big salon last year in March, and I wasn't happy there for quite some time for various reasons, and it had just grown beyond what I originally signed up for in a simplified way. I tied in a little bow. And I had I've got a friend who I now work with. We did our apprenticeship together. Her salon is beautiful. It's tucked, it's hidden in a laneway. I kept thinking, people won't find us. How will they find us there? And there's only 6 chairs. There's 4 of us. We're not always there. I've got a key. They gave me a rainbow key on my first day. And I thought, yes, this is the right place for me. For now. It's great. And it's nestled amongst art galleries. You need to know you're going there. So you need a clientele or to work on the marketing. And there's incredible parking and people can find us. And I just used to keep telling myself these stories of why something couldn't work. I think in the last 18 months, it's okay to listen to that story, but perhaps it's the best time now to create a new one. So something that's scary, we've already lost almost everything. Everything has been flipped on its head. Our industry has been, pardon my French, kicked in the ass. Things have been removed from us. Events have been changed. People are nervous. Clients are nervous. Now is a time that it's okay to be brave. It's also okay to try something and it doesn't work out. You just try the new thing. So I 100%. Hope that helps.
I love that you talked about the location, because so many people blame, it's the money story and the mindset of I can only charge XYZ. And they'll say, I'll see it in the forums where they'll say, well, I'm in a small town in blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I call bullshit, because if you have skill, you can be in a basement of a building with no sign and no advertising whatsoever. I started out in this little cottage building in a neighborhood. It was tucked behind, not on any main street whatsoever. Nobody even knew it was there. And I remember the first day that I opened, I was a sun goddess at the time. I was 22. So I had a nice backyard where my place was. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go in my first day. And if nobody calls and makes an appointment, I'm just going to bring my bathing suit and I'm going to lay out in the yard until the phone rings. That was my marketing plan. And I never, ever, ever got to sit in that yard ever. From the minute I opened the door, I did a dentist that I worked for in high school was right up the street. He came in and got his first haircut, brought me a plant because I had no plants. It was very stark in there, very clean. And the aesthetic needed some help. I was too young to know. And he left with his fresh new haircut, went back to the office. 3 patients went in to get their teeth cleaned and said, Jean, I love your haircut. Where'd you get your haircut? And he said, oh, my friend Elaine just opened around the corner. Go see her. And it just became this family, atmosphere of someone telling 2 friends without me even asking. And I love social media. I love how instant that we can get in touch with people, but I hate how much it has become this like jazz hands. You have to be on all the time, because I didn't have social media, but to your point, both of us opened up this talk saying we would go out when we weren't busy. Like I worked in a mall at my first job where I learned the cornstarch trick. And if I had one spot open in my book, I would go to the cosmetic counter at the
Yep.
mall, pick out the most beautiful woman there and say, I want to do your hair free in exchange for you to talk about your hair when women are getting their makeup done.
Yep.
And they would come in, I would do their color, hand them a stack of cards. And when someone would get makeup done, they would say, oh, your hair's so pretty. And they'd say, oh, Elaine's right there. And, it's so simple. And people
Yep.
give excuse after excuse after excuse. I'm not busy. It's the location. It's my boss. It's, there's too many people I'm in competition with. If you shine, you're so smart to say, I am a redhead and a blonde specialist. You carved your niche right out and you decided to do that. It's a decision. People are like, I can't do that. I'm screaming at the rooftops. Specialize in curly hair, curly color, and curly cutting. You will have a line around the corner like Starbucks at a hair show for curly haired women to come and get their hair done by you.
Yeah, you totally
It's not
will.
that
It's
hard.
okay. It's not that hard. And it made me laugh because where I've joined, the business has been there for 10 years and they don't have a sign. And they're just getting their website together, but then it still doesn't have an about us or meet the team. And I just think, no, well, they've been there for 10 years and we're busy and we all have something else to bring. And literally it's the end of a laneway without a sign. So we are busy. We get recommendations. I also used to do that with makeup artists. You don't have to do everything. But if you think of a couple of channels of where you could get people in, I like MAC makeup, for example, the boldness that they often wear in their stores, and they're professional makeup artists. So they're going on set. There are lots of other brands. We didn't have Sephora back when I was sort of doing my training or building my clientele. So I had a few MAC makeup artists, and they also always looked good because if you made their hair pink, they would do a turquoise eye as an example. Or if you made them blonde, they'd go with it and they'd know how to take photos. And I've still got a few people for content days that are makeup artists that I use for my training or for some of my online course. And it's also a double trick because they can do their own makeup. So on those content days, if you're wanting to do that, but it's not all about social media. And I think to touch on that is really important because it's something in our industry that we're constantly on. We don't have to respond to a DM, a Facebook message, even an email, unless we're in business hours. Think about a 9-to-5 type job. There are quite clear hours. And even in an office role, you don't have to reply to an email as soon as you get it. I think as hairdressers, we're trying to do everything and we get a notification. I've turned notifications off on my phone. When I have time, I go in. I'm still really guilty of it. I can be trying to do an Instagram post and then do something else. And I've worked out recently doing somewhere between 2 to 5 posts a week is a lot. That's what I can handle. And I want to do quality ones if I rush and do it on the go. And you can set up auto replies in your DMs to say these are my hours. I answer my messages on Tuesdays to Fridays. If you need something urgently, call the salon. It's okay to have professional boundaries. If you're feeling burnt out or really exhausted in our industry, have a look at what some of the behaviors perhaps have crept in, and it's okay to just pop the phone down, because there are other ways, so many other ways of getting clients in and staying in contact with them as well.
It's so true. And the trend, I'm not sure how it is in Australia, but right now, a lot of people are flocking to the solo suites and setting up mini salons by themselves. Yeah. And in order to simplify, they think that they're simplifying by giving their cell phone number as their business number. Yes. And that is such a mistake, because talk about lack of boundaries. It's your personal phone. You have it with you at all times. And if you have small kids or whatever, you're going to jump every time that phone rings or a text comes up. So I stressed constantly in my coffee chats, guys, stop doing that. Have an online booking system, have a Google phone number that you at least know it's coming from that phone number so you can shut off those notifications. When I see people going on and on and on these forums, like, I'm going crazy, these clients are texting me at midnight. And I'm like, I don't blame the client. I blame you
Yeah.
for her having that number. You know, she shouldn't even have the ability to bother you. Now, your American friend Elaine sends you messages at all the wrong times because I always forget.
Oh,
So
no,
I'm
you're
I'm
fine.
glad you have your notifications off because
I
anytime I send it, I go, oh shit, it's like 3 a.m. for her right now. And I just sent that to her. So I'm glad that your notifications are.
I
Mine
put
are
mine
as well.
on
I turn mine
silent,
off.
but I am guilty as charged. I have one phone. My clients have the number. My friends and family have the number. And it's something that I don't really ideally want 2 different phones, I guess, because I do the Instagram on it, I check my emails and so on.
Yeah,
So
no, you
I
don't
just
even need another
turn it
phone.
off.
It's a Google number that goes to your same phone. So you have to talk to Brent about that. It's
Okay.
you want to have a separate
wanna
thing
do
because
that.
then you know, okay, this is business, this is my friend. Like then there's some separation and one phone.
Because that way it's a really good way to remove the emotion. I'm thinking of a client right now. Her name is Laura, and she messages at 11 p.m. at night. And then I think, oh, fuck. Like, she really pisses me off. And then I think, no, Laura's been coming to you for 15 years, every 4 weeks, always on time, pleasant, and a direct communicator. And that must just be when it suits her before she goes to bed.
Exactly.
You know, all of that, and what a waste of energy that I've had all of that. So I think that's a great idea. I've never heard of Google Voice.
Here you go. And just put anyone that needs to know about Google Voice can email me. So email Bryn. You have her email from Revival. So email her and she'll hook you up.
And I can see it's
She's my
popping
tech
up there
buddy.
too. Oh,
Yeah.
Bryn, thank you. Gosh, the 2 of you are really saving my sanity, because setting up the online course, learning how to do StreamYard, I've learned from you.
And look at you now. You're a pro.
Look at me now. I've got even great bright headphones. And
I love your headphones. I noticed that right away. Where are they from? Only you would have hot pink headphones.
I know. They're just from an airport shop.
Really?
Years ago.
So adorable.
And they are actually a really good sound, but I think that they are quite a fun on-brand color. Oh, I miss airport shops. That's something I'd like to get back to. Shopping, you know, when you've got to shop because you've got to fill in time.
Yes.
I love that.
My goal is to meet you in person in Australia. Australia has been on my bucket list forever.
Yes.
And I will definitely get there and we will definitely get together. My daughter has gone on all the trips of my dreams. She went in high school. She did
I'd love that.
Oh, I can't even think of the name of the company, but they had high school kids go and they were representing the US. And she was there for 3 weeks. She did Australia and New Zealand. She lived in Thailand for 6 months. So she's an example of being fearless, like for having a crazy mom like me. You know, she would say, well, I want to do da, da, da. I'm like, go. Like, what is holding you back? Life is short. So she didn't have a pity party during COVID because she had just been to Machu Picchu and Costa Rica at a yoga retreat. Like, she goes and she's cheap. She likes to travel on the cheap. So people's first response is, well, I don't have money to travel. Yes, you do. Thailand is so stinking cheap. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can. I've been to Thailand several times. There's a company called Intrepid, and it's one step up from camping, but you might be, and I'm not a camper, but, you know, in my 20s, or if I wanted to travel, I didn't have that much money, you would be sleeping on overnight sleeper trains. You would be sort of roughing it. I've also been with my partner who doesn't like that sort of thing. And we went to the most exquisite island resort. And I was like, oh, this is what you get when you're not spending $10 a night.
Exactly.
And eating $2 noodles. But still, I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't been pushed so far out of my comfort zone. And, you know, you're okay. And even for me to come to America, the first time I came there, I had accommodation for this is what I used to do for travel, the beginning of the trip, the end of the trip, so I'd know where I was starting. And then I'd kind of just wing it. And some hairdressers looked at me and said, do you mean you're here doing a shoot? It's the first time you've been to America and you're not quite sure on where you're staying all of this week? I was like, yeah, but I got my ticket home. I'll be fine. It's fine. Like, I didn't want to over-plan things.
Right.
And I had to learn, if you miss a plane, you get the next one. Like, it's annoying. I think a lot of travel has really set me up to be flexible and pivot and seek alternatives, which has helped me with some of the skills needed in this strange time we're living in at the moment.
100%, because you can tell when you're traveling who the people that don't travel regularly are when there's a delay, the reaction from them.
Yes.
You're like, okay, this is going to be bad. They've never had this happen before. Where I'm the first person that jumps up when they say, we need somebody to give up their seat and we'll give you a free flight. I'm like, I'll stay where I am for another day. Give me the free thing. You know, I've never had it happen. They always say, never mind, we're good. But I'm flexible. I'm like, hey, I wouldn't be in a place traveling if I didn't want to be there. Right. And what's another night? You know, it's not a big deal. So I think you get a little more go with the flow. Bryn saying exactly, sleeping in huts on the floor. When I went to visit her in Thailand, I was like, listen, I know you like these little $5 a night hostels. I am too old for this shit. I need a comfortable bed. I need air conditioning. It was so hot. Hot is not even the word. Like, there's a picture of me. I'm on one of those little boats and I have the bamboo hat on and the sweat is just like dripping down. And I got so many comments on Facebook. People were like, oh my God, you're so hot. I was just like, this is a whole other level of heat. Just unbelievable. So I couldn't even imagine being without air conditioning. No. And some people, you know, people live here in Florida and don't turn their air conditioning on. I can't even, I'm a spoiled brat, but I always say, if I do go camping, I want to go glamping. I want to do one of those glamping tents with air conditioning. Yeah. I get eaten alive by the bugs. So I have to be careful where I sleep. So everybody's having a side chat about the Google voice. I'm glad that they got value from that. So that's a good tip.
Remember that as well. Google.
Maria said, running out of ice is roughing it up for me. I love that. Yeah. I always say my roughing it is when they don't have valet at the Four Seasons. When I'm on vacation, I have to park my own car. That's my roughing it. Not anymore though. Now that I live in Florida, I don't have the burning desire to run away, which is a nice feeling.
Oh, that is nice.
I like that it's warm all the time and there's palm trees and I feel like I'm on vacation. So what time is it? It is 10 of 10. Bryn, are you ready to spin the wheel and get some prizes going? So Kristina, you talked about your friend's deck of cards and for last year's revival, I had these made. The hairstylist. Yeah, you're in here. Your contribution is in here. So this is one of our prizes. And we have other prizes. So if you're here live, you automatically qualify for the prize. We didn't make you do anything to qualify, just the fact that you signed up and showed up. We're going to spin the wheel, but you have to be here right now to say, hey, I'm here, to actually get it. If we don't hear from you in the comments that you're here, we'll give it a couple minutes because there's a tiny bit of a delay. So if we don't hear from you, we'll spin it again and we'll keep going until we give everybody their prizes.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, spin the wheel. She's going to kill me. She's probably like, I wasn't ready.
We didn't rehearse that.
She's used to that. I'm always throwing things out there at the last minute. She's like, Mom, you're killing me. I can't keep up with you and your impulse. Well, while she is doing that, I'll share the other prizes. So we have, I showed the rose gold set that makes me happy. Gorgeous. We have the hairstylist deck. Something that I created, which is much in need for the Redken Shades EQ users. I know you worked for Redken, so you know them inside and out, but I have found that most people are very confused by the letters and numbers of Shades EQ and what everything means. Yes. So I created a chart and it's part of my membership for my Hair Color Secrets Insiders. And I give them the PDF and I say, take this to Office Max, one of those places, get it printed on cardstock and laminate it. So I got some of them done to give as a prize. So this is the lamination.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah, you can actually stick this in your cabinet. So your client doesn't have to know that you're looking at a cheat sheet. It just is in the cabinet drawer. And, you know, it says things like NB. You must include a minimum of 1 ounce of an NB in your mix when using shades to cover gray. It has a brown to tan background with a red violet base. Perfect choice when you want warmth without brass. So like little quick tips about each shade. So that is one of our prizes. I also have this custom made level finder. I call it my fearless formulation tool. Important for formulation. So that's one of the prizes. And my book. We talked about the book, A Colorful Journey. That's also one of the prizes. And then I also have a Starbucks gift card. Bryn's calling me. Hey, you're on speaker. Is the wheel not working?
Okay, you're a little delayed, so I'm listening to you in the past. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Bryn.
Okay, I forgot. I didn't give her the link for StreamYard. So let me quickly give her the link so that she can show, because it's fun to see the board. Okay. So let's keep chatting while we're waiting for her. So my favorite tip from Kristina, I'm going to give away your favorite thing, my favorite thing that you do.
Yes.
So I had been doing redheads for years, and I told you in the beginning, I'm a little timid. I do that reddish brown, that copper-ish blonde. I'm never bold with the peaches and the vibrant colors that you do all the time, that you're so comfortable doing and so great at. Let me take this thing off. Hang on. I don't know where this. I don't know how far back that statement was about the Bryn.Travis. Trying to take it off the screen. People are saying, I'm here, I want a prize.
I can't see the comments, so that's very exciting.
So, I'm formulating, and I'm formulating to, a more natural red, and kind of sometimes accidentally getting to the level of red that I want without, where the heck? I'm sorry. I'm so distracted.
That's okay.
I'll just leave it up.
You can pass it over to me if you're.
Yeah, you talk about your 5, 6, 7, 8.
I know where you're leading. So we are looking at the prizes, and it's very exciting. So hang in there if you're watching here live. It's very exciting. The wheel or the prize is about to go off. So I have a song that I like to get hairdressers to sing, and I will share more when I present for Revival. And I think we're going to be doing some curly hair techniques, as well as I will explore and share my inner secrets around hair painting for reds, formulating for reds and coppers, something that I realized so many of us don't get taught how to do it. So from a foundation stage at college, in an apprenticeship, we get taught how to go from brown to blonde, how to cover grays, how to perm, how to cut, how to style. We get all the foundations other than how to do warm colors, on purpose golds, beautiful reds, on purpose orange coppers. And we often, with formulating, there's 3 big mistakes that I see with hairdressers with hair painting for reds when it goes wrong. It's not knowing your leveling system, number 1. It's getting hot roots, number 2, and banding, number 3. And it all comes back to knowing your leveling system. So every single level, here's a quick tip, is different with reds. You've got red at 6, you've got 7 is orange or orange copper, and 8 is gold copper. So I like to teach 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's all I'm going to allude to. There's a song, and it's fun, and it will help you with your leveling system. Keen to know more?
Yeah, really.
Are you ready for that? I saw the screen changing.
I didn't realize that there was a different shade at every like doing color for 20 some years at the time when you said that to me, and I was like, I never even consider what lives at what level. And it's so important. And now I see it with such a different eye. So I'm so excited for you to share that in Revival for sure. So I'm trying to add Bryn, but it's doing that weird thing with the, hold on, she's texting me a million times.
Technology is tricky. The very first webinar I tried to do last year, there was no sound, and all these lovely people were writing up the side, we can't hear you. And then they were saying, you look lovely. And I was like, I had to send them all a replay. So there's always a plan B. And what 2021 has taught me is have a plan A, B, C, and D. Oh, there's a random. Is that
So
somebody?
it looks like she spun already before we added her. Is that right, Bryn? Can you unmute yourself? We can hear you if you unmute yourself. Or is it just your screen and not your... Maybe she can't talk. Let me see the comments. We should have had a better plan for this. I'm used to being able to do it. No, I can't hear you. She's saying that is the spinner, but it's not the spinner. So Cheryl Salsa wins. Cheryl, are you here? That is for the deck, the hairstylist inspiration deck. And we have Joe Santee, Vivian McKinder, Beth Minardi, the Wilsons. There's all kinds of great hairstylists in our industry that are on there giving tips and quotes and fun.
That's an awesome
things.
Prize.
The other one is not working, she said. Wheel of Fortune, Lisa said. Kimberly Wilson. Kimberly Wilson, if you're here. Wait, did we get what was that name that she just had up there?
Cheryl Salsa.
Cheryl, are you here? We want to give you time to say that you're here. What happened is we put all the names of the people who signed up for this workshop on the wheel. So not everybody's going to be here live. So I want to make sure that she's live and then keep going. So we'll give it another minute and then Nat is here. So people are telling me that they're here, but they're not the ones that we're calling. So Kimberly, are you here, Kimberly Wilson? Okay, it looks like we're going to spin again. So whoever's on here, you have a better chance at winning because there's not everybody's on here live. Renee Allen. Renee, are you here? I hate that we can't play music because of Facebook. You need to have music during these things for these awkward silences. So no, Renee. Keep going, Bryn. Spin again. Tony Adam Baltran, is that? Adams Baltran? Tony, are you here? Lisa said, let's jam. I know, I didn't know. Talk about learning the online world. So my very first live webinar, I wanted to start out with some fun music to get everybody pumped up and in a good mood. And everybody was like, turn the music off. Facebook's going to shut you down. And I was like, what? You know, and I would jump on in the salon and I would do like a little bit of video of hair and I would have music on in the salon and Facebook would take it right down because of music rights. So you learn all that stuff.
You do learn all of that. Yeah, if it's a private group, but it's not going onto Facebook, you can have like sound effects and things, but it's so tricky with the music.
Yeah. Deanna Strickland, are you here? Jimmy Ann said we can all sing a 5, 6, 7, 8 while we wait.
5,
I love that.
6, 7,
7, 8. See, I'm going to need that for my tap dancing class. I'm going to think of you every time they say that in the beginning of tap.
When I went to Vegas, one of the trips I went to Vegas, I went to the Neon Boneyard Museum where they have all the old neon signs from the 40s right through to present time that they're redoing. And I waited in the gallery. It was in quite a rough part of town. The taxi didn't want to drop me off at first, and I insisted I was in the right place. And then all these gorgeous women in their 80s and 90s came down. And I could hear them before I went for this tour, and they were this senior dance troupe of ex-showgirls. It was an incredible moment. They all had their little sequins and they looked like Yetta from that show, The Nanny, with their little balls of hair. Oh, it was adorable. I think it's a great idea. Cute. So far, how about Colleen? Colleen, are you here? So far, we haven't had a single winner. So you had to sign up and show up. So
A lot of people on here could be jumping on YouTube. They could be jumping on Expert Color Solutions, but you need it to sign up to qualify for the prizes so that we can send you the replays. So if you're on here and you didn't sign up, make sure you go back and sign up so that we can get your name on there for tomorrow and the next night. We're going to have prizes every night. So Kimberly Wilson, is Kimberly Wilson here live? Come on, we got to have one live in here. See, it's hard I wanted to do it where when you logged on, you got put on the wheel, but with StreamYard, some people's names don't come up. So it was going to be too hard to do that while we were live. So we wanted to make sure that we included everybody that signed up. So let me see so far.
Can you see people who are live currently? Can you do like a random number generator and then count through the number, or is that totally throwing it?
I'm not sure. Lisa's saying winner, chicken dinner. Did anybody say that they were here? Is that why she's saying winner, chicken dinner? Or she's just saying she hopes somebody wins? No, I want someone to win. I want to give things away. My husband wants to get all this stuff out of my house. I have so much stuff. Marie Nuss. I do not think Marie is here live. I didn't see her comment at all, but give her a minute. Bart was here. Bart, are you still here? Come on, Bart. I hope you didn't hang up on me. I hope you're still here. You're usually a stick to it kind of guy. Stacy said we could be here all night. I know. Maybe we'll try it another couple times and then we'll just do more prizes tomorrow. Oh, Bart is here. So Bart was part of Revival last year. So he's going to already have the deck. He already has the book. I know for sure. So Bart, did you already print out the Shades EQ cheat sheet? Because we can make that your prize, or the rose gold set. Bart, you tell me what you don't already have and I will make that your prize. The another prize that I forgot to mention was this Wella hat. I have a couple Wella hats, little white hat. So if you want the hat, we can do that too. So Bart gets a prize. You can DM me, Bart, later what you pick. That's awesome. So Bart is a dear friend and has been so supportive of all of my education, and he's going to be coming to my in-person retreat in March. We're going to get together. I always tell him we would be a fabulous Sonny and Cher team teaching color. We would be a lot of fun together. So he's amazing. So we finally have a winner. Yes. Okay. Rose gold Bart won. So I will put that aside for you, Bart. You got it. So let's try one more, Bryn, and see how that goes. I don't want to keep you guys here too late because we have 2 more nights that we want you to show up for us. And I don't want you to get burned out. But Kristina is always full of amazing tips and just passion for our industry. Taylor Wilcox, are you here, Taylor? So Kristina, you keep chatting while we're doing this and give some fun.
If I will let you know where you can find me if you've got any questions or want to find out more about the 5, 6, 7, 8 rule. I might or might not tell you because I might try and keep a secret for the first time in my life. And I've alluded to it. This is a teaser that if you'd love to connect with me, I love meeting hairdressers and connecting with them on social media. So in my display name for this session, I've got my Instagram there. So it's Color, but I spell it the Australian way with a U in it. So Color Kristina. Come say hi, follow me. I share tips there and I've got different free classes, free ebooks and different links and things there. If you're keen to listen to a podcast, I have just launched, I think, I'm almost at 70. So I've got the podcast that goes new episodes. I said wepisodes. It's a combination of the website and episodes every Tuesday on all the regular places you'll find podcasts. It's called Color Kristina Talks. Elaine is going to be a guest coming up soon. We're going to be talking about Revival and your incredible formula that people ask me about, and I don't know how to help them when you're formulating. It's a mathematical equation, so I'm really keen to share that with my listeners. I've got lots of different episodes. I either do solos about color or we have special guests that are colorists or people in marketing outside of the industry that can help people within the hair industry. So if you're seeking to connect with me, come find me on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook and have a Facebook group that's a free community to join called Mixed It Up. Have you got another? I think I know.
I also want you
name.
to share.
Angela.
I want you to share your Revival link. Kristina is a presenter at Revival, and I wanted to give her the opportunity to share her special link so that you can support her in the Revival 2-day event. We're getting together for 2 complete days for a completely virtual hair show. A lot of you on here tonight were amazing and supported us last year. We've decided to keep doing it every year for as long as people are excited to show up. We have amazing educators. Kristina is one of them. I'm so excited to share her with everyone. So tonight, for her being our special guest, we want to be able to share her individual link so that you can support her participation in Revival and make her want to come back next year. So I'm going to have Bryn send that to me. Hang on.
I've just sent it to you in a private chat, Elaine, I think, but I'm new to StreamYard. So I just wrote, here is my link.
So this is her link. It's expertcolorsolutions.com/Kristina with a K -revival. So if you want to attend the 2-day show, she's going to get into all of her amazing tips on redheads and hair painting and all the fabulous things that she does. I really don't know her content yet, so I'm going to be listening in and learning as well as you. It's exciting for me as well. Angela Bertuk, are you here, Angela?
I'm so glad
Heather is here. Heather, you won earlier. So Heather, we have to give you a prize, and I'll DM you and you can pick, because you as well. Heather's amazing. She is from your neck of the woods and she is a member. So she can hardly show up at the coaching calls because it's a weird time for her, but she has been an amazing, very active member in spite of the time differences. So she won, and I have to make sure I get a gift.
What's Heather's surname? I think Heather is in
Heather Ann Chandler.
Yes. Heather's in my online program, Hair Painting for Redheads.
Awesome. Yeah. So she probably met you from our chats. She probably met you through this. That's awesome. So, and that's what I love too about our relationship. We both do exactly the same thing, but as you see in this conversation, we both have completely different styles of teaching, completely different styles of an approach to education. I'm like pretty tough love, right to the point, call you out on your shit. Kristina's like, you're wonderful. I have my pink headphones on and my glitter board. So, people get really crazy about like, I don't want to share my social media with you and I don't want you on my podcast because then you're going to shine. And for me, I'm like, it's about leveling up everyone and giving you the tools that you need. You learn something from me with that tip on the clay and the cornstarch. Yeah. You learn from Kristina in all the tips with the board and staying motivated and all of those things. And we couldn't possibly both give you everything that you need. So there's plenty of room for all of us. And I love, my absolute favorite thing in education is collaboration. I love that you're my guest tonight. We have the Wilsons tomorrow night. We have helped the Wilsons get out in front of everybody with their new product line. They came out with a product line. They were on the road. It's exhausting. And I'm like, come in and do Revival and meet everyone. And everyone loves Philip's brush and comb technique. And Mary is so happy and bubbly and amazing. And she does yoga and she knows everybody and everybody loves her. So it's just such a great community and a great way to reach people. I mean, look, we're talking to you in Australia, Heather's in Australia, people from the UK, people from all over the country. And it's like, we're all in a coffee shop, just having a conversation. So this is amazing. So Heather, reach out to me for a prize. Bart, we have, and Bryn, you want to just try one more before we hang up? She's going to kill me. I think she's still listening. We'll try one more. So follow Kristina, go on to her Instagram, her podcast. She's so much more organized with her podcast. When I'm her guest, she has a whole sheet of how I connect with her. I'm always like, oh, here's a link at Zoom. Don't worry about it. But I am going to record your video and your audio. And everybody's like, oh no, I have to have makeup on. So she's very, very organized and very, much better at that kind of stuff. I don't edit mine ever.
Oh, you don't? That's something I had to learn. I put the music and I've got help with editing, but unless something major goes wrong, it's not really edited either. And I had a guest this week that swore a lot, so I'll have to put explicit on his, but it was so juicy. It was such a good conversation that I didn't say to him, don't swear, but
Right.
I do normally prep people. And I'm not an organized person naturally. I've really had to learn how to do that because otherwise my head's in the clouds. I'm a creative. I need
Right.
templates and systems.
Well, whatever you're doing it well. And I thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
tonight.
Thank you
I
for
thank you
having
so much
me.
for Revival. I'm so excited to have you as part of Revival. And I love our friendship. I love you. And I can't wait
I
to
love
meet
you
you
too.
in Australia at some point when you're allowed to come out and play.
We can do what they call a pub crawl, or we could go to like a bottomless brunch and then we could tour the Sydney Harbour.
That sounds amazing. I love brunch. Brunch is my
I love
favorite
it.
meal. So
I
you
love
know me
brunch.
well.
I love it.
Well, thank you everyone
Thank
for
you for
coming.
having me.
If you did not sign up, please make sure that you sign up so that when we do prizes for the next 2 days that we have more prizes that we can give to people in their hands. So get that sign up. And then that way you will have the replay is going to automatically get sent to you. If you're just joining on YouTube or where I do my coffee chats, you're not going to get any of that stuff. And then you're going to be frustrated. So be sure to sign up. Thank you for all of you. We had about 65 people live,
That's
and I'm
so
sure
great.
we'll have more people watching the replay. So thank you again, Kristina. And
Thank
I
you,
will talk to
Elaine.
you soon. See you guys
Thank
all
you.
tomorrow night.
Bye.